Now the question he asked me was in the nature of an inquiry of a person who wants to find out what is the proof that there is God. How are we to convince people what is God? That we have to achieve something as far as God is concerned. How are we to convince them that we have got all these centers within us and that you have to achieve that realization? Then also, how are we to prove to others that you have achieved your realization? This is the question which everyone who is not yet a fully Sahajogi would feel and ask you questions, and you should have answers to it. The first and foremost question is, how do we prove that there is God? Because you assume that there is God, because somebody has said there is God. Now, what are the ways of proving this, that there is God? So, we have to attack the question first from the reasoning point of view, that we should be able to tell people that there is God through reason, not through experiencing, because they have to be prepared for it. There will be many who really do not believe in God, but just out of fashion they are saying, all right, we accept, because they want to keep a peace and a compromise. But how you start about convincing them rationally? Perhaps I spoke in one of my lectures, if you have that. I don't know if you have got it. But we can prove it, the existence of God. You may call him God or nature or whatever it is, from many points of view. For example, in short, we can say there are many scientific things we cannot explain. We cannot explain how the periodic laws were established without somebody being there. Periodic laws of chemical substances or the elements that exist on this earth is so regular and so properly plotted down that you can see there must be some plotter, otherwise it cannot be done. I mean, if you want to avoid it, you can avoid it, but there must be someone. Say we come in this room and find everything properly organized, lit up, and we should know there must be somebody who has done it. Then a very good example is given by a very good French biologist. He says that if you use law of chance, the law of chance states that if you have got 50 red pebbles and 50 white pebbles put in a jar, and if you shake that jar, it goes into a chaotic condition, and the distribution of these pebbles is in a chaotic way. To bring them back to their normal condition of having the red on one side and the white on the other side, you go on shaking it as many times as you like. And they have found out that there's minimum of minimum so many times it has to be done. Otherwise it cannot be worked out. This is all done by chance. You see, by chance when it has to come to normal condition. How many chances you have to take? There's a certain amount of a formula. Something raised to power n, call it n. So, as a biologist, he tried to calculate that if matter has to become living, then to get to that density, how many years are required? By the law of chance, to bring forth a living cell, one cell. And he found out that billions and billions and billions of years, if this law of chance works out, then only one unicellular animal can be created. But in this short time, from when the earth seceded from the sun and then cooled down, and then life came into being, then human beings were created who are very complicated. It is such a short time compared to that time which is required by chance that he has proved mathematically that it is an impossibility, it cannot happen. It is that fantastic. This is a scientific, very good proof of a biologist that there is somebody, a juggler, who is doing that job. You may call him God, you may call him nature, whatever it is, but the nature thinks. People like Jung have proved the existence of collective consciousness, the existence of unconscious, which gives us dreams through which we get universal symbols all over the world, whether we are in India or in England or anywhere. The symbols are the same, and he has done experiments with thousands of people. On the medical science also one can say, as you know, that one of the arguments we put in for is that acetylcholine and adrenaline, which are two chemicals, when they are in the body, human body, they act very arbitrarily. Means they have to augment, mean to contract or to relax. Those who relax must relax, and those who have to contract must contract. But those who are supposed to be contracting relax, while those who are supposed to be relaxing contract. So they have not been able to explain, and they have written, all of the doctors, they say that the mode of conduct of these chemicals in the body one cannot say. Another thing is that one of the very, very important arguments that people have given is this, that supposing a foreign body goes inside the human body, then always the tendency is to throw it out as soon as possible. Supposing something goes into your throat, you will cough out. Something goes in the blood, they will try to throw it away. That's the system it is. But when the fetus is formed in the body, then not only it is kept there, it is nurtured, looked after, and thrown out at the right times. How can you explain that? There are 1001 explanations people have tried to give, but none of them are satisfactory. Then this earth is spinning with such a speed, and we are kept glued to this earth, we never even feel the speed. And so many things like that people have been able to say, and so many scientists have felt that there is some force which is beyond us, which is very dynamic, which acts in such dynamic ways that we cannot explain. So we come to a point where we tell people that there is some force which we have to discover. Now, then as Sahaj Yogis, you can say that this hankering to seek, after a certain level of evolution, because some people do not have at all seeking, you know that. They are just seeking food to eat just like animals. Some people are seeking power. Some people are seeking money also. But there are so many people who are seeking something beyond. This seeking has come to us. And this seeking that has come to us has led us to some sort of a path by which we should find out. Now you have seen with your naked eyes a Kundalini rising at my feet. You have seen the pulsation of the Kundalini taking place. That nobody can do. There is no mesmerism, nothing. When the Kundalini rises with the stethoscope, you can feel the rising of the Kundalini. With the rising of Kundalini, you have known that we have cured people of different diseases. Even a person who was just dying, whom doctor had decided that they are dead and to be buried very soon, have been cured. And it is so dynamic, the dynamism I'll tell you, it's so dynamic. Like we can take the case of, say, his brother. That he was so very sick and they said he has got blood cancer, he's going to die within 8 days. I mean, he just told me this, that's all. And he's cured. Today Linda told me that her mother was always angry with Peter. Where is she gone? Where is she? Linda? So, she told me that the mother would never talk to Peter. She was very angry with him always. She would never talk to him. But she told me all these things. And suddenly she found that now she's become very good and congenial and nice and talking. You have seen such transformations coming among many people. How people are changing, transforming. This is absolutely dynamic. You cannot do it. So many sick people are suddenly cured only through attention, you know. There must be something about it. And that is how you have to convince. People about Sahaj. But after getting realization, you just see the Kundalini, you see the rising of the Kundalini, you also feel the vibrating force of Kundalini. You also see how you got cured, how you got out of your problems, how you were in trouble, what problems you had. You had seen all these things. And these things happened to you also. Some of you were drug addicts, some of you were suffering from some mental troubles, some were having physical problems. All these, you see, are cured and you are much better people now. This has happened to you very easily without much effort being put into it. It is not possible to get rid of these things easily. Definitely you can raise the Kundalini, you can feel the Kundalini. You know for definite that when you say that person has got this left Swadhisthana or anything, everybody says the same and you are sure of it. It is not possible for everyone to say the same thing, even the children saying the same thing about a person, and he says also it is verified. So, part of it comes to you in complete proof that there is something about it. Second part also comes to you as a proof because now you know there are vibrations flowing into it. There's no jugglery about it. And then you can feel it very clearly. You have raised the Kundalini of many people. You have given them realization. Even the photograph has given realization. You know for definite it is so. And also you know that if you want to ask any fundamental questions, you get answer as a great flow of vibrations. When you ask the question whether there is God, immediately you get tremendous vibrations proving that there is. You ask some questions which you know for definite and say, is it so? And you know that it is not so. Definitely, you do not get any vibrations. That's how relatively you know when do you get vibrations, when you don't get vibrations. If you ask a very big fundamental question, you get vibrations of a very strong nature. But in ordinary things, you might get a little. So it proves that the vibrations speak to you as vibrations. This should prove that there is God because you have asked on vibrations and you have found that there are vibrations and that there is God. Now, what happened in the case of Buddha? That he got realization as you got it. And he had no way of finding out whether there is God or not. So he said, there is no God, only there is self. But you have gone beyond it. So, if you find 70% of the proof through your own experiencing it and raising of the Kundalini and all that, then the 30%, whatever it is to be ascertained through the vibrations. And when you ascertain it through the vibrations, for example, I say this is hot. How do I know? By feeling it itself, it is hot. Now, anything that makes me hot is hot. But relatively, I know this is hot, that is cold. In the same way, on vibrations also, you can ask various questions and find out yes and no. And then you can believe it that there is God Almighty and His all pervading power exists. Not only exists but operates. The rest of it is all a myth. But when you rise in Sahaja, being Sahaja, you take it for granted. As we take everything for granted. All the trees growing, the mango tree giving a mango, guava tree only gives guavas. We never try to find out how in one little seed so much is built in, so much is programmed. We take it for granted all these great miracles of the world. In the same way, we take this miracle also for granted. This is what Maya is, that it makes everything look so simple and straight. And you just start taking it for granted. Then you have to understand that it is not to be taken for granted. But is to be very much respected, worshipped, and accepted. The amount of preparation you have, the amount of strength you have, that is the amount of truth you are going to get. Truth also weighs you very clearly whether you can receive it or not. There is no diplomacy that can work this out. No cheating, nothing. Truth knows how far you are. The more you become stronger, the more the truth manifests through you and you receive the truth. Just now, some of you are still little babies of 3 months and 4 months and something like that. And still sometimes taken for granted. You do things which you should not do and harm yourself. It's only a question of harming yourself, not harming me or harming Sahaja Yoga, which cannot be harmed, but you harm yourself. So one has to be very careful and should understand the laws and regulations. As Gavin had read the last time, the statutes of gods laws. You must understand how it works. You cannot take law into your hands by taking it for granted. Law operates and it knows everything. It is a law of love. That's why it allows you to make little mistakes to learn. But it will not protect you when you start saying that, all right, I want to do it on my own. All right, it says, all right, go ahead. So one has to know that this law operates not blindly, lovingly. And it tries to teach you also sometimes that don't do this wrong and don't do that wrong. But when it comes to real punishment, the punishment is that this law leaves you alone. It just lets you go. The attention recedes. That's the worst thing that can happen to anyone. That you are not in the attention of God is the worst thing. So even if you make mistakes, doesn't matter. Pray for the attention of God always. Because the attention of God is the law of love. You cannot cheat it. Everything is known. Every word you say is known. Every word you don't say is known. Every thought that comes in you is known. So purify yourself with love, understanding. Try to purify and tell yourself that I have to purify myself as much as possible. With purification only you will have the proper strength. If you are not purified, then there won't be any strength for you to bear the truth. Once you bear the truth, your own life will convince people that you are divine. Your face will convince people. Everything that you do will convince people that you are divine. And whatever you say, people will know it is coming through divine force. May God bless you all.